Hey everyone, this is Ken, and today we're doing a tutorial on a redstone shop. Now it's going to be the second version of this design, and I've actually added a ton of cool features and really went all out with this one. Now the great thing, guys, you guys all actually mentioned a bunch of ideas and things to really improve on it, and I want to incorporate all these kind of comments and ideas you gave me to make this the top-notch shop. So before we can get to the details, let me show you how this works. Alright, what we have here is a selector panel that you can literally choose about 8 different items to purchase, which is great. I mean, that's what you want. We do have a light indication up there to let us know that if any of the items are empty, the entire system will get a lockdown and you don't lose your money. Now, we also have a payment option plan as well to even boot with the entire system, which is great because now you can literally choose different payment methods for the same exact item. See? So now you have a variety here of different ways to choose what you want to pay for and so forth. Now this is where you're going to get your items that you're actually going to purchase. So let's begin. Now we're going to have some iron ingots, and all you have to do is add as many as you want. We're going to add 1 iron ingot. And bear in mind, we selected the apple, so we should get an apple in return. See, that's perfect. That's what you want. Now, say you don't have any iron ingots and you have some lapis. Now, we're going to put 2 lapis in here, and we should get 2 apples within that chest on top of the apple we just purchased, making it a total of 3. See, that's what you want, guys. You want that kind of feature. The cool thing is, if you put something that doesn't belong in that dropper, it just stays there. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay stuck right in that dropper. And that's great, because you really don't want nothing to jam up or mess up the system. Now, we're still going to stick with the apples, guys. Now, there are only 15 apples within this system. And that light's going to turn on once we exceed 15 of the exact purchase currency. And we got about 15 of each one of the payment options, and we're going to put all of them inside, and we're going to see what happens, guys. Because sometimes this happens, guys. You don't want to put your money in a system that you're going to lose money from. Now, as you see, guys, the light turned on, and everything's on lock. Now, we did get our 15 apples, which is great, but we actually put in 60 items of currency. And the great thing is, the excess amount of currency ends up getting stuck within the droppers, you see? So we got 5 of that. 9 of these, and we got some 10 redstone, or was it 13, which is great, and our 15 lapis. Now bear in mind, guys, you did get a few extra currency that fell in the system, but not to worry, they all get shoot back into the chest with the apples that you purchased. See? So if any extra currency fell in the system that doesn't belong in there, it all goes back into the chest that you actually purchased your apples from. Now check it out. To get back to the hidden spot, you're going to press your Redstone Torch there, and that's going to lead you to the back entrance, you see? It's a great way to have something hidden and discreet at the same time, because you want to go back there and kind of get your money worth, you know? So we did spend 15 items for 15 apples. As you can see, guys, we got our 15 iron ingots right inside, and 15 of each of the selected items, so we didn't lose anything, which is great. When you come up here, guys, this is where you're going to put your items and restock your items. Now, we do have these light indications on the side here to let us know which items are pretty much empty. And the lights are going to pretty much parallel with the chest in front of us. You see? And the cool thing is, once you put your items and you restock them, the lights will turn off and the system will go back to normal and everything will be unlocked. Which is fantastic. And that's, of course, is where your chest is at and so forth. So it's a really great system to have because everything is pretty much covered. You don't lose any money and you get the same exact currency of what you're paying for. Now, guys, you can literally have as many currencies as you want. Now, once the system is good and you kind of switch it up and so forth, you could go back to paying and buying other things. So it really adds a lot of features that you guys requested for, and it makes everything exact to the T because you don't want to lose money. And it's a very fair system in that sense. Look at that. Fantastic. So let me show you the Restone behind all this. It's really not too complicated. Now the cool thing is you can literally expand the payment options to as many as you want. So that's also a plus. So you don't have to get stuck with this. So I'm going to show you how to build this with just 5 payment options. But like I said, guys, you can literally expand to as many payment options as you want. From 1 to a gazillion. It's your choice. So these are going to be the base materials you're going to need. You will need a block of your choice, some half slabs, item frames, droppers, hoppers, chest, trap chest. You're also going to need a few Redstone lamps, some sticky pistons, Redstone dust, Redstone torch, repeaters, comparators, and a few Redstone blocks. Now check out the description, guys. I will be putting a rough draft of the amount of items you're going to need. Now feel free to pause at this point and have this set up ready before you even start this build. Now this is for the 5 payment option plan. Now once again, guys, if you want it smaller, just of course make it smaller or bigger of your choice. Then you're going to go about 4 blocks right here in this corner and place 1 dropper there and place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it should be a total of 8 droppers facing upwards from that point. Now you're going to place 1, 2, 3 hoppers going forward. And starting from down, that's 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 1. Just like so. Alright, so we got it pretty much down to that point. Now you're going to place a comparator right there with a block in front of it. And a Redstone Torch right there. Now in front of that Redstone Torch, guys, you're going to place 2 hoppers facing each other. Fantastic. Make sure those hoppers are facing each other and you're going to place 1 item inside. See? It's right there in the back part where the torch is at. Then you're going to place a comparator right there. And I want you to place a block right there. See how these 2 hoppers are facing each other? Make sure that's the case, okay? Then you're going to go in this back and forth pattern. Fantastic. You see that? So you're going to want to repeat this pattern all the way till you get to the top and make sure that top block is parallel to that top dropper. Then you're going to place a Redstone Torch in between each one and there as well, and behind it, just like so, until you reach the top. Now you can leave that part empty. We should have this kind of look at this point, because that's going to be the silent item elevator. Because it's great, because you really don't want too much noise with this kind of system. Then you can place a block there with 4 repeaters, a block behind it, and you're going to set each repeater on 4 ticks. Now that's very important, guys, because you're going to need that to get your exact currency. Then you're going to place 3 half slabs, and make sure they're half slabs, guys, because you don't want a block or interfere with that dropper. Then you're going to place a block on top of that redstone dust, a block behind it, delete that, and add a redstone torch in front of it, on that top block right there. And not to worry, guys, it's going to activate that just temporarily, but it'll make sense later on, trust me. Now you're going to place a block right there, and a large chest like so, and delete the block underneath, and place a hopper going towards that chest. Now make sure to crouch when you're doing this, okay? Now at this point, guys, you're going to place some hoppers from that point all the way till you hit the wall in the back right there, you see? It's a straight line. Then you go about 1 block from there and add 2 blocks like so right across. Now you're going to add 5 blocks, and that's going to be your payment option. You're going to add some repeaters right there, some blocks right behind it, and blocks right on top of it. Now make sure to add some torches right underneath. Then you're going to go adding a hopper facing forward towards each hopper. I always get tongue-tied with that, you know? Now you're going to place some comparators right there facing outwards. And some redstone dust right across on top of each block. Now like I said, guys, that's going to represent the payment options. So if you want more or less, you of course make it shorter or bigger depending on how many payment options you want. Now you're going to place a hopper going towards each comparator, and you're going to place a block there, a block on top, delete that, and place 5 blocks right across in total. And what you want here, guys, is very important. Make sure the droppers are facing downwards. You see? See how they're facing downwards? Fantastic. Put that hopper, that hopper facing that comparator back. And we're going to place these hoppers all facing downwards like so. Fantastic. So you should have this kind of look at this point. Now you're going to place your block of choice right there and extend that right across and there as well. And you're going to place your block right behind, and you want to make this nice framework. Let's place 2 blocks right there. Now at this point, guys, we're going to place our item frames right there, and that's going to be the indication of what items we're going to use to pay for the system, you see? So this is what we're going to use now. You can use whatever you want as your payment option. Now this is where it gets a bit tricky, guys, alright? You're going to need an anvil for this, or you could use plain dirt. It's really your choice. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to show you a little cool method to really set this up to make this as secured as possible. Now we're going to use dirt, and we're going to rename the dirt to, you know what, let's say K1 Ink. Now the second you rename it, it becomes something else. It's not dirt anymore. Well, it is, but it really isn't. Because that's not what it's called. You see, that's dirt, that's K1 Ink. Now, to set up the hopper line, the whole sorting system of it all, I'm going to place 4 dirts, or K1 Inks, at the last 4 sections. See? Now, this section here is iron ores. Now, you're going to place 19 iron ores on the first slot. Make sure it's 19, guys. It's very important. Fantastic. Now, the next one is going to be gold ores. So it'll be the second payment option. And of course, you're going to add 4 K1 inks or dirt or whatever you want to name it on the last 4 slots, and your 18 or 19 right there in the first one. And you're going to repeat that to each one. Now, once you've done that and you completed that, you're going to add a few blocks right there across, about 6 blocks in total. And you're going to add 1 comparator right there. Now, it's going to get the signal coming from that hopper line right there. Then add some redstone dust for the block in front of it, a repeater right there, and a block in front of that, and some redstone dust in front of it. Now, of course, you could delete those electrical blocks. You really don't need them, but it's your choice. And at this point, guys, add a total of 5 blocks in a straight line going upwards. Then you're going to delete that, add a redstone torch, and delete that one, and you're also going to add a redstone torch like so. Now you're going to add a block right there, delete those 2, and you should have this at an angle. Now from that point, you're going to add an additional 7 blocks right behind it, making a total of 8 blocks going backwards. Then add a block there with a half slab underneath. Then of course you're going to extend that right across. Then add another block right there, and of course extend that as well. Then you're going to add some redstone torches in front of that block. And repeaters going towards each block. Then you can place a block there and add 1 block there and there on top of the torches and delete the one in the center. And of course, extend it right across on both ends. Then you're going to add some repeaters going forward. And you're going to make sure each repeater is on 2 ticks. Fantastic, guys. Now from this point, guys, you're going to add some redstone dust behind both blocks like so. It's looking good, guys. It's looking real good. Then you're going to add a block there with a half slab right there and a block on top of it. Delete the one underneath. Add a block there and a half slab there, and a block on top of that block and delete that. You should create this kind of pattern. And you're going to add one comparator there and one comparator going towards that block. Now that's what's going to send the signal from the item frame. Now you're going to add some blocks of your choice to make the wall right there with an item frame parallel to the comparator. And I don't like to use an arrow, but you can use whatever you want to really select what you want to choose. But once you place that arrow, it's going to give off a signal, you see? And once you rotate it, it gives off a completely different signal as well. Now at this point, we're going to pretty much make the framework around this. And you can use whatever you want, guys, but I personally like to use item frames. But it's pretty much your choice, guys. It literally is. Now you're going to place some blocks right there, there. Some blocks right on top of it. And of course, extend that right across to make this beautiful frame. Perfect. So you should have this kind of look at this point. Now you're going to add one chest right there. And what I like to do is I like to add some stairs on the top frame to really give it a nice trimming. Really makes it look nice and it gives a really nice detail to it. Alright, so let's start finishing off this redstone dust back here. Now we're going to add some blocks on top of that and 2 blocks on the side. Creating this kind of look, and of course we're going to extend that all the way to the front. And a block right there. And extend this as well. And there should be a total of 8 blocks. Then you're going to add some redstone dust right across. And on the knife block right there. And the reason for that is because we're going to add a block right there and 2 half slabs underneath. 1, 2, delete that, and extend that forward. And when you get to that point, place 2 blocks, delete the one underneath, and add a redstone torch right there. And that's going to lock the hoppers. And you're going to add some redstone dust to connect with that block right there. Then you're going to add a half slab right there. And some redstone dust on top of that block as well. And that's what we're going to use to lock the entire system. Now we're going to delete these blocks on top right here and we're going to replace it with some redstone lamps. You want to have some kind of light indication. Then you're going to add some redstone dust right there and there. Delete that. And add a block on top of it with a half slab right there and a repeater going towards that with some redstone dust on top of it. Just make sure those 2 are half slabs, okay? It's very important. Now, once we've done that, we're going to start setting up the actual item system. So add a block right there, right across. That's going to be temporary. And in front of those blocks, you're going to add a hopper facing forward. Now, once you've done that, you're going to add a block 1 block away on top of the hoppers. See, just like so. Add that right across. And add some droppers facing downwards, okay? It's very important. Make sure they're facing in the downwards direction. Then you can delete the excess amount of blocks that we're not using. Fantastic. Now at this point, guys, we're going to add a hopper going down towards the chest. And we're going to extend that right across. Now prevent that redstone to, because you really don't want that redstone to block the hopper. You're going to add a half slab. And that's not going to interfere with the hopper flowing back and forth, okay? So you want to make sure you replace that with a half slab so it doesn't lock that hopper. Then of course, guys, you're going to curve this straight line of hoppers until you get to the back last one, okay? Fantastic. So it's really going good, guys. We're doing good so far. And you should have this kind of look. Now at this point, we're going to crouch on top of those droppers and add some comparators on top of the hoppers facing forward, okay? So that I can get the signal from the dropper itself. And place a block there and a block in front of each comparator. And you're going to place a sticky piston facing downwards. Now, it's very important, guys. You're going to have to add a redstone block right there as well. Because the cool thing is that redstone blocks will activate 2 different features. Now you're going to place a block there, add a half slab right there, delete that, and a half slab right across. Then make sure to add a repeater right there going forward or outwards like so. Now you're going to add a half step from that point and extend it outwards about 2 blocks to the end, right there to the edge, right? Then once you place some blocks there, you want this parallel to that section. So add a block there and add 5 blocks right on top. Then add a Redstone Torch right there, Redstone Torch right there, a half step there with some Redstone dust. Now at this point, guys, you're going to add 1 repeater going right there and some Redstone dust right across and in a straight line back here. Then you add 2 more half slabs, 1, 2, and some Redstone dust right on top of it. Now you're going to make sure you add a a block right in front of each repeater. See how it indicates that the system is completely on lock? But what's going to happen here is also going to prevent items from going into that chest, going straight into this item elevator, which would eventually lead to the chest where your apples are at, or where the purchased items will be located. Then you're going to add some Redstone torches on top of the blocks, with some blocks on top of the Redstone torches, and some torches right on top of those blocks as well. That's going to be a light indication to let you know which items are empty. Fantastic. Now at this point, guys, you're going to add a hopper going towards each dropper facing downwards. Then of course you're going to add a combination of trap chest and regular chest back and forth right across. Now once you've done that, guys, you can place your block and choice right in front of it because you want to cover up that Redstone dust. Then we're going to add some 2 blocks on both sides to make a nice framework. Now of course you're going to add another set of chests to make this a large chest because you want to have as much space as possible. Then right over here you're going to add some blocks right underneath to cover that up. And of course, guys, I want you to make a nice framework because you want to cover up as much redstone as possible. Because in all honesty, guys, besides this working as well, you want this to look just as good. What I did was I added some stairs right on top just to really give this nice trimming. Now right over here, guys, parallel to that last Redstone lamp, you're going to add 1 dropper right there on top of that hopper, a hopper on top of that dropper with a large chest going right across, a hopper on top of it on the opposite end. Let's delete that. Now at this point, guys, you're going to make a straight line from the item elevator to that hopper right there, which eventually leads, like I said, to the chest where your items will be picked up at, or your purchase items will be located. Fantastic. That's a great way to really have any excess amount of currency returned back to you so that you actually spend the exact amount of money for the items you purchase and you don't lose anything. Now let's make that hidden door. Now we're going to place a block there with some redstone dust, a block right there and there as well, right there in that section. Then you're going to place a redstone torch right there on the side of it. Then you're going to add a redstone torch in front of that block, put a block on top of it, and some redstone dust on top of that block with a block in front of it. Fantastic. So you should have this kind of look, guys. Now right here, parallel to the torch, you're going to add a sticky piston with a block in front of it. And on top of that block, you're going to add another sticky piston and one right there as well. Now as you can see, guys, once you add that torch there, you can see how the pistons retract back and forth to create that open close motion, you see? And that's also being done by a bud switch. Now at this point, guys, I want you to pause the video and kind of set this up and decorate it to your style. So all I'm doing at this point is pretty much covering up, adding some carpet, and giving it that extra little trimming all around. You see? Fantastic. That's great. Look at that. Like I said, guys, you could pause this and really add your own style to it. I didn't do much. I just added a few blocks, create a wall, and some stairs here and there. Now right here in the top corner, that's going to be your first slot. Now we're going to add an apple, but you can use whatever you want. Now over here, that's going to be your cash, your actual inventory or your profit. And you can add some stairs to cover up that redstone, but it's pretty much your choice, you know what I mean? That's where you're really going to get your money worth. So you really don't want to add too much there, but it's pretty much your style and how you want to hook that up. Now, like I said, guys, each redstone lamp is parallel to the lamps to indicate what's what. So the second you put items in there, you're going to notice the lights are going to turn off parallel to it. Now, the reason I say put that there is because we have to set up a certain way. Now, in the second one, we're going to place some bread. Now, that second slot, of course, will be this one right there. So you're going to add your bread or whatever amount of inventory you want to add to it, to that slot. But I want to give you an idea how this whole thing works. You see how I'm like going downwards towards it? So you know right away that it kind of starts from that point and leads straight across. Fantastic. Now once you've done that, you add everything inside, the lights will turn off, and you gotta pretty much pre-program it slightly different. Now we gotta place, let's go to the, like what we have, pork chop. We're gonna add 2 iron ingots for this case, or the currency you want to use. Now you're gonna get 1 back, and I'm gonna explain why. Because actually 1 gets stuck underneath the hopper in the back. And you guys are probably looking like, what is he talking about? I'm gonna show you right now. Now once you go back here, guys, you see that dropper? That's where your inventory is at. Now that hopper will always have 1 item of the currency on top. But not to worry, you just have to pre-program this a little bit to each one, okay? Now keep in mind, you're going to have your cash go into that cash chest underneath. So you're not losing anything, you're just kind of presetting this up correctly. And you're going to do that to each one, okay? So make sure you add 2, and then go on to the next one, you should have 1 of each. So make sure you do that to pretty much program the entire thing correctly to make sure that 1 item is in those droppers. Now to lock the droppers itself, right, we're going to have to go right here, back here for a second, add 2 blocks, like so, delete that. Add a half stop right there so it doesn't interfere with the hopper underneath. And you're going to extend this redstone dust right across like so. And aim right there and make sure the redstone dust is on top of the droppers. Because once the system locks, you don't want that excess money going into the system as well. Alright guys, I hope that I understand. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. But like I always say guys, I want to thank everybody for watching, and remember to please leave a comment and subscribe. Thank you.